Hi friends, if you're watching this video, it's because you most likely have decided to make Arcadia City Church your church home. And for that, I am so grateful and excited about what God has in store for us as part of the family that is ACC. When you decide to make ACC your church home, you are in a sense saying, I am Arcadia City Church, and I'm committing to live out the values of ACC. One of those values is giving. At ACC, we believe that giving of your treasure, or tithing as the church calls it, is a spiritual practice. It's truly an act of worship. We believe it's an act of worship, giving back to the God who has richly blessed us with everything that we need. One of the things we see throughout Scripture is God's desire for us to give Him authority in every aspect of our lives. And generally, for most people, this begins with giving God authority in the matter of our faith and spiritual life. But as we submit to Jesus, we find out that He also wants us to give Him say in other aspects of our lives, our relationships, our habits, our sex lives, our careers, and of course, our finances. As we grow in faith, God desires us to invite Him into how we use our finances and invites us to see ourselves as stewards of what He has provided us with. One of the pictures of giving in Scripture that we see modeled throughout the Bible is this idea of first fruits. The concept of first fruits is rooted in biblical times when people lived in an agrarian society. Harvest time was significant because that was when the hard work the farmers had poured into their crops all year began to pay off. They were literally reaping what they sowed. God called His people to bring the first yield, the first fruits from their harvest to Him as an offering. This was to demonstrate the Israelites' obedience and reverence for God. It also showed that they trusted God to provide enough crops to feed their family. We see this commanded in Proverbs 3:9, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. The idea is to not give simply what is left over at the end, but to prioritize our finances and orient our lives around radical generosity. It's also a huge step of faith to trust in God when we give first, because it requires us to trust that God will provide what we need after we give. If you have said, I want to make Arcadia City Church my church home, we would encourage you to consider giving to the ministries of the church, to invest in what God is doing in the lives of others and the kingdom work that is happening in the neighborhood of Arcadia. When you give, you not only support the ministry of this church, but you also support our partner ministries, our missional partners like Young Life, Hope Women's Center, Teach One to Lead One, and Church of God missionaries all across the globe. Giving Jesus authority when it comes to our finances is usually one of the last areas of our lives we give over to God. And it's hard to do this. I get it. I've been there. But I want you to know that when you give, I promise you will experience the joy that comes from being radically generous. And you will participate in the expansion of God's kingdom throughout the neighborhood of Arcadia. There's something so powerful that happens when you reflect on the ways in which you allowed God to leverage what you were willing to give to grow His kingdom. If you are ready to give to ACC, there's a couple ways that you can do this. The first is simply to give cash or check at one of our services on Sunday. And the second way is to give electronically or to give digitally. And you can give electronically or digitally through the ACC app, which you can find on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, or you can give through our website, arcadiacitychurch.com. All of our giving is done through an online platform called PushPay, and they make giving super easy. Just a few clicks of your phone and you're there. If you'd like to sign up for automatic recurring giving, you can do so on that site as well. I am so incredibly humbled by the ways in which so many in our community give so generously to the ministries of this church. Without your generosity, Arcadia City Church would not exist to invest in the lives of men, women, and children in the Arcadia neighborhood of Phoenix. Thank you for investing in what God is actively doing in Arcadia and throughout the world. Once again, we want to thank you so much for making ACC your church home and for your commitment to this neighborhood and this church and this community. We're so grateful for you. Grace and peace to all of you today.